Good afternoon and welcome to our noon forum presented by the Associated Student Speakers Program. This afternoon it is our pleasure to welcome to our campus poet-playwright LeRoi Jones. Ron Karenga, who many of you know, who got his master's degree here at UCLA and is the founder and chairman of the cultural organization US, will deliver a special introduction. Ron?
The best introduction that I could give Brother LeRoi Jones is to say that he is first of all a brother and then a personal friend, but the first great revolutionary black writer. And we say this in terms of the type of literature that black people are starting to develop and will develop until there is never any need for this again, which is never. And that literature will be based, there you go, that literature, you're much too kind. That literature will be based on three principles of literature and writings and philosophy that have been here since the beginning of time, i.e. African writings and concepts. And those concepts are first, all literature must be judged on the basis of whether or not it is functional. Second, it must be judged on the basis of whether or not it is collective. And third, it must be based on whether or not it is committed. And when we say that all literature, writing, philosophy, art must be functional, that means we destroy the concept of European literature that there's such a thing as art for art's sake. There is no such thing as art for art's sake. If a man really believed in art for art's sake, he wouldn't try to show his friends his paintings and try to sell them. He would keep them in his little dark room and just drool over himself. But he does not do that. He brings them out so that the world can say he's great. That is not functional, but it suits him egotistically. And what we have to realize is that in Africa, all art was functional, and that if it did not serve a function, it was invalid. The function black literature must serve today is that it promotes and initiates change. And all art and literature that does not suggest and promote change is invalid in terms of black revolutionary literature. Brother Jones's literature does just that. It is functional. Second, all literature must be collective. An artist must always relate to the masses of black people. He must get his inspiration and sense of identity, purpose, and direction from the masses of people. Art cannot be for a small group. It must be for everybody. We must not talk about bringing the masses up to the level of art, but we must make art on the level with the masses so that black people all over can benefit from it, because we are no more than the context to which we owe our existence, namely our Afro-American context. We have created soul music and soul poetry and soul art because of black people having this emotional basis for our creation. And as Senghor say, we do not weep when our art is destroyed. We rather try to retain the soul force that made this art possible. That is a black collective soul force. And some of you out there who have tendencies toward intellectualism might say that soul is an unscientific concept. Well, it's not. It's extra scientific, and we will allow no scientific disproof of it. So then the art must be collective. The last standard is that all art must be committed. That is, it must commit the artist and it must commit the person who observes the art. And if it does not do that, then it is invalid. It must commit black people to revolutionary change. It must commit black people to having a black identity. It must commit black people to having a black purpose. It must commit black people to having a black direction. And once these things have been achieved, then how can we say that this art is no longer valid? It will always be valid as long as it provides us with the identity, the purpose, and the direction we need as black people in a country that is basically racist. And what you want to do today is to listen to what Brother LeRoi says and try to understand it from the context from which we speak. Naturally, we speak a different language. In spite of Negro opinion, we are not just Americans. We are Afro-Americans, and the context to which we owe our existence is first black, because we were black before we were born. It was only later, and we haven't really even decided that yet, that we are American, because they're still debating that in Congress with Civil Rights Bill. So I would like to conclude by saying that Brother LeRoi is from a revolutionary black writers school. And we love this brother because he teaches us change, and he makes that teaching a very beautiful thing. We always say that inspiration comes before education. In our School of Afro-American Culture, we teach children heroic images and concepts that inspire them to learn, because academic assertions have more value in philosophy classes than they do in the streets. And black people are and shall be for a long time just there in the streets. Thank you, Brother LeRoi.
I want to thank the brother for that introduction. So that means I can just be a poet now and don't have to tell you anything, because the brother Karenga has outlined it specifically for you. I'm going to speak this evening at the US Center, and this is magic. I want to read some poetry today. I also want to make a few comments, but I think the comments, as I said, are unnecessary, because the brother here has taken care of pointing out the sources of my art and the direction. We are at a stage now where we present what we have because we know its strength, we know its beauty, we know its validity. So you can't tell us anything about it or try to demand that we adhere to your aesthetic or to your social and physiological needs anymore. So these are poems from the black nation, from my spirit of the black nation. And if you can dig that, there's no more to be said. A lot of the poems you'll see have to do with what you can read in the newspapers. A lot of them don't. I move from fully visible to invisible. That is, man as physical, man as social, man as spirit. We are a spiritual people, so we are concerned with the development of spirit and the evolution of men into spiritual beings, into entities. We are an unfortunate people in that we have been caught and captured by materialists, by people who have no need for spiritual things. So that puts us in a bind. But all it does is collect our force and make it come out that much stronger. This is a poem called Human to Spirit. Hey, this is too high. Can you turn this down a little bit? Okay, there you go. Right. This is a poem about evolution called Human to spirit, humanism for animals. That is, well, explains itself. Human to spirit, humanism for animals. Cut the pig loose. To you, man, from all fours, from cold caves to higher forms, human being emerge from cave-light television, murder heart funky duck, the dead-eye ruler dead for oceans drying eons, human to spirit. We are humans reaching spirit. Soul are souls reacher, reaching through a soul, action of reaching, reacher, a soul, husk of body pass away, husk of meat and pus pass away. Humans, we are humans, have been humans, beings passing away, reaching, changing, being. Humanism for animals. Hay for animals. Pigs in the polycrazy nausea, narcissistic bitches in phobia. Hey, pink meaty eaters, ranny mouths, slobber eating, cavinalistic. To humans they aspire to be humans. Will we let them be humans? Meat for humans? Meat for eaters of flesh. They aspire to being human. Will we let them be humans? Humanism for animals. They should put their paws together, clean their jowly, bloody teeth, and pray to humans. Humanism for animals. We should turn them into humans? The fire will. Oh, but the fire will. Fire of the humanistic change, smoke of the humans. We are humans, turning to spirit. Humanism for animals. Reach humanism, animals. In the flame we throw upon you, reach in the red agony burning. Our souls reach, we burn inside, transform the world, spiritual reaching of humans. We are reaching as God for God, as human knowing spirit. We leave the humans, we find the humanity. Humanism for animals, spiritism for humans. Reach, brother, reach. It's a poem about aesthetics. It's called Black Art. Poems are bullshit unless they are teeth or trees or lemons piled on a step. Or black ladies dying of men leaving nickel hearts beating them down. Fuck poems and they are useful. Would they shoot, come at you, love what you are, breathe like wrestlers or shudder strangely after pissing? We want live words of the hip world, live flesh and coursing blood, hearts, brains, souls splintering fire. We want poems like fists beating niggas out of jocks, or dagger poems in the slimy bellies of the owner Jews. Black poems to smear on girdle mama mulatto bitches whose brains are red jelly, stuck between Elizabeth Taylor's toes, stinking whores. We want poems that kill. Assassin poems, poems that shoot guns, poems that wrestle cops into alleys and take their weapons, leaving them dead with tongues pulled out and sent to Ireland. Knockoff poems for dope-selling wops or slick half-white politicians. Airplane poems. Setting fire and death to Whitey's ass. Look at the liberal spokesman for the Jews, clutch his throat and puke himself into eternity. There's a Negro leader pinned to a bar stool in Sardis, eyeballs melting in hot flame. Another Negro leader on the steps of the White House, one kneeling between the sheriff's thighs, negotiating coolly for his people. Stumbles across the room. Put it on him, poem. Strip him naked to the world. Another bad poem, cracking steel knuckles in a Jew lady's mouth. Poem, scream poison gas on beasts in green berets. Clean out the world for virtue and love. Let there be no love poems written till love can exist freely and cleanly. Let black people understand that they are the lovers, and the sons of lovers and warriors and sons of warriors are poems and poets and all the loveliness here in the world. We want a black poem and a black world. Let the world be a black poem, and let all black people speak this poem silently or loud. call that an aesthetic statement of principle. This is a poem about your leader, which is, I think, a journalistic poem. It's called Word from the Right Wing. Maybe you can dig it, understand where it's coming from. President Johnson is a mass murderer, and his mother was a mass murderer. And his wife is weird looking, a special breed of hawk-billed cracker, and his grandmother's weird, dumb and dead, turning in the red earth, sick as dry blown soil, and he probably steals, hates magic and has no use for change, though changing, and change the weather plays its gambling tune. His mother's a dead blue cloud. He has Negroes work for him, hate him, wish him under the bullets of Kennedy death. Open fire from the school windows! These projectiles kill his mother, plagued by vulgar cancer, floating her dusty horoscope without the love even she thinks she needs, dead bitch. Johnson's mother walked all night holding hands with a nigger and stroked that nigger's hard, blew him downtown, Newark, 1928. I got proof. One thing about leaders, they usually identify the substance of their followers so that applies to all the followers, all the Americans. This is a poem called Census. We're usually told by people like Johnson that we're only 10% of the population, though we know we might be 50 or 60% in Vietnam. We understand that. For that reason, a lot of us support Brother Muhammad Ali and hope that he will choose not to go into the service. I think that the people who benefit from this society, as the brother said on television, student, should be the ones fighting to preserve it. And this is a census, again, about where we think the world really is in terms of the peoples on it. Census. Black people, 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 yellow 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 people, brown 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 people, red 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 people, poor 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 people, and others. A poem for half-white college students. Again, talking to college students, black students. These colleges usually turn out to be freak factories. That is, they tell you, try to turn your reference against your energies, try to make you kill yourself. They try to invent you in their own image through colleges. It's hard, I know, for people to understand this who think that they're getting an education, but the brother here can tell you that you're not getting an education. You're being trained to fit in specific grooves that they have outlined for you. In no civilization in the world could any American institution of learning be called educational. That is, they are too narrow. They don't teach you about the world's philosophy, but only the energizing qualities which maintain them as chief of this planet And that's what you're being indoctrinated into. The white ones benefit by it so they can dig it and go on with it. But for a black man, black student, to find himself separated, isolated from his people, and suddenly turn up on the wrong side when the Indians come, it's the Lone Ranger syndrome. Either you are Indian or you're with the Lone Ranger. A poem for half-white college students. Who are you listening to me? Who are you listening to yourself? Are you white or black, or does that have anything to do with it? Can you pop your fingers to no music except those wild monkeys go on in your head? Can you jerk to no melody? Except finger poppers get it together when you turn from star checking to checking yourself. How do you sound? Your words, are they yours? The ghost you see in the mirror, is it really you? Can you swear you are not an imitation gray boy? Can you look right next to you in that chair and swear that the sister you have your hand on is not really so full of Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton is coming out of her ears? You may even have to be Richard with a white shirt and face, and 4 million Negroes think you cute. You may have to be Elizabeth Taylor, old lady, if you want to sit up in your crazy spot dreaming about dresses and the sway of certain porters' hips. Check yourself. Learn who it is speaking. When you make some ultra-sophisticated point, check yourself. When you find yourself gesturing like Steve McQueen, check it out. Ask in your black heart who it is you are, and is that image black or white? You might be surprised right out the window, whistling Dixie on the way in. This is a poem called Influence Of, about, well, you know what it's about. If you hear it, you know what it's about. But it's, the meanings, all the meanings are in it. It's about the spirit, about the soul force. Influence of. Black mind is mine, a mine for the gold of past and future. Shine your gold black light out of your mind into the mind of our time. Be James Brown and wish the line to the mind is straight, with rhythm flying, change up stride in blinding light. And JBB digging, outflows black streams, black gush, black shouting, gold force in heaven, back above hover, strutting ground, bees, JB, James Brown, a rich man, a priest of gold, energy figures, black juice, royal time, Brown, James Brown, floods, 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 and gushes of energy, rivers of movement, oceans of yeah, oceans of yeah, Brown, James, oceans of yeah. In gold, green, orange, and James. In maroon, chartreuse, silver, and brown. James, J.B., digging in the black gold mine. All the world and heavens moan forever in sweet, black, angelic boogalucence. Yeah! 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 This is a poem about Newark, where I live and was born, which is a black city. That is, it's almost 70% black, or let's say 65 during the daytime. And at night, that is when the jobs are there, the white people come in and work and take the money to the suburbs and leave the city like it is, like they think we need to live in because they know how we want to live. Dig that. So this poem is about my street, Sterling Street, where we are close to the courthouses and those other Greco-Roman buildings where they do all their serious business. And at night, after work, the white people on their way home, you know, because you all probably do the same thing, you students, you white students, they slide through our neighborhoods looking for a little flesh. And so last summer, we started a kind of counter proposal, a counter thing going where we were looking for them at night. And this is about that. And it's about a woman who was trying to decide what she should do, whether she should go for it or not. And it's not only that woman, that poor woman on the street, deciding whether she should go for that prostitution or not, but also all of us, all the black people, have to be aware of that. There's always some white man getting ready to make a prostitute out of you, you see, to fuck you, you know. So be always watching out for that, you know, because only thing they want to do is use your energy. That's all, to keep their thing going. That's all they want. They want to use your energy to keep their thing going. That's all. No matter what they say, no matter what they look like, you know, they want to use your energy. You understand? Poem is called Blue Do Baby Want Money. An alligator got it to give. Say day, lay day, may fake come some bummel. Take break, Jake, make fake, lay day some bummel. Say they came breaks, no more hoes red, say they. Lay day in my in-fay bed to make bread for Jake. Limping in the hall with quivering stick, he's hiney raised in a car by the curb, licking his yellow lips. Yellow snow, yellow bulbs, yellow eyes, looking at the dark. Here's his whisper, says, come down, Goalie, I give you a stick, da-da-da. Come down, Goalie, I give you a pinch, da-da-da. Come down, Goalie, I sit in my car, da-da-da. Come down, Goalie, to where we gray guys are, da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. She's not thinking of him, seeing people like him dazed out there, sucking heavy vapors, her butt throw off like stick it in nighttime for the dough, child, for the money, baby. Look at him down there looking up at me, da-da-da. She and Jake look. The cup flame, fat claws, motor batting outside Miss Workamo's house. Should she go down, she's pulling the coat against the wind. Will she let him, old good guy, get in? For the money, Master Roby. For the dough, Mr. Tom. For your woman in the mirror shaking like a storm. Psst, oh, miss, oh. Yellow vapor butt got him, hung out the window. Look down, Jake Jr. and Mr. Roy. There, look, can you help me? Da-da-da. Can you give me something? Can you make me beautiful with your bullshit? Can you love me, nigga? She asking us, Jake Jr. Sister Betty, where we at? At the pin of the stair, curl flag of misery. Oh, the hip walking that child. Fat sister swashing that heavy ass. Psst, psst, psst. Oh, miss. Yellow, clouded up, stick it in and jab down under the wheel, da-da-da. Miss, oh, miss. Stumbling down the stairs when she turns to go back and stick her head in the car. The motor's running. She already know the money's in a slide. We throwing rocks and garbage cans. Barry dragging the motherfucker out. Stomp, bumper, dee-dee, done. Run your heaviest game. Baby, take it. Run on way. Baby, take it, baby. Run on way. Money on the ground, blood on the ground. The first step, we protects. Provides the example plain when the sun come up again. Dig that. All you Caesars, if you can dig it. Three movements and a coda. And this is about a celebration that we initiated a few years ago in lieu of any official American holidays. We started these summer festivals. This is about that. Three movements and a coda. The quality of night that you hate most is its black and its star-teeth eyes and sticks its sticky fingers in your ears. Red nigger eyes looking up from a black hole. Red nigger lips turning killer geometry like his eyes roll up like he thought religion was bebop. Like he thought religion was bebop. 16 killers on a live man's chest. The Lone Ranger is dead. The Shadow is dead. All your heroes are dying. J. Edgar Hoover will soon be dead. Your mother will die. Lyndon Johnson. These are natural things. No one is threatening anybody. That's just the way life is, boss. Red Spick talking to you from a foxhole very close to the vampire Nazis' lines. I can see a few vampire Nazis moving very quickly back and forth under the heavy smoke. I hear, and perhaps you do, in the background, the steady, deadly cough of mortars and the light shatter of machine guns. But Banzai, 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 banzai. Came running out of the drugstore window with an electric alarm clock and then dropped the motherfucker and broke it. Go get something else. Take everything in there. Look in the cash register. Take the money. Take the money. Yeah, take it all. You don't have to close the drawer. Come on, man. I saw a tape recorder back there. These are the words of lovers, of dancers, of dynamite singers. These are songs if you have the music. Almost. If it don't get to you, you can feel the wind as it passes by. About self, talking about self, meaning the quality that will perpetuate the best spiritual values of this planet. Self, the black self, the self, getting to know the self. We see what the self proposes from the Western white man. And so the alternative, our self, our feeling, our emotion. You see, when a man says black power, he's not just talking about a sheriff in Alabama. He's talking about the reordering of this planet according to spiritual principles. That's what we're talking about. Sermon. Winding up in the mountains of self. Black woman, come close and tell me you love me. I want you to love yourself. We see selves not as obstacles. Let them come in to self. Wind in the mountains of self. See yourself. Feel what knowledge turns. Wheel air breathes fresh at the peaks. Jungles below. Glare green and red waving. Vegetable. Where have you been? Self core of earth. The plunge through a dark opening of blinding firelight. Bopping in front of the flame, fire of self, come into thyself, wind in the mountains of, lay in the valleys of, fly through the sun air of, pray to your Father, for this is the meaning of, the world is alone, the world is not only stone, we are not only animals, we are not really humans, we want to be deeper in self, the self, God's self, breathe in the be-all of, grab hold of, soul force in, love is the purest of, we will pass through and return straight on past and be changed into spirits by self. It's a civil rights poem. It's like thinking about how we have to make certain that what's seen is pure. Civil rights poem. Roy Wilkins is an eternal faggot. His spirit is a faggot. His projection and image. This is to say that if I ever see Roy Wilkins on the sidewalks, I'm going to stick half my sandal up his ass. It's impurities. That's cool. Right, I got it. WW, it's about Newark, again about identification of self, black people finding out who they are, the students especially, because you all will be selected, and our people always look to people that the man selects. You will be selected as leaders of your people. So you must carry this thing in a kind of pure reference so that you're not used. Finding out who we are, as the brother here says. WW is the name of this. Back home, the black women are all beautiful and the white ones fall back, cut off from 1,000 years, stacked booty and Charles of the Ritz. where Jewish ladies turn into Billy Burke in blue glass kicks with wings and jingly beautiful things. The black women in Newark are fine, even with all that grease in their heads. I mean, even the ones where the wigs slide around and they coming at you 75 degrees off course. I could talk to them, bring them around to something, some kind of quick course on the sidewalk, like, hey, baby, why don't you take that thing off your head? You look like Miss Muffet in a runaway ugly machine. I mean, like that. Just about ready to finish. And again, this is the reaction of being isolated to the black students. Again, do not become isolated. Do not become separated from your own people. Remember that any commitment you have to America and white society must only be in terms of the use it is to your own people. Remember that. No matter what you might think, the world is changing. This epoch is finished. You see, the reason a man is trying to send us all to Vietnam is to protect himself here, the unemployment, to get us off the streets, you see. But the power of this planet is to be taken from him. The man realizes this. The people all over this planet want to see the white man dead. So always remember that whatever you do, make it of some value to your own people. Understand who you are. And then you will know the direction you have to move in if you understand who you are and the power that we all possess. The reason we don't put it together is we are isolated. One is here, one is here. All our energy is used to work for white people and usually against ourselves. You see, remember that. Remember that. And always remember to support these brothers who are out there. Brother Karinga here, Stokely Carmichael, Muhammad Ali, people that we see out front, who are getting cut off, you see. And so because of the devil's communications, his magic, his white magic, the television and the radio and all the electronic media, they convince you that they are right. That they are right. No matter what I say, you go home and turn on the television, and even if you think you're watching something that doesn't have anything to do with it, they'll be sliding their thing in, always. They'll always be sliding their thing in. The white car will beat the black car, or the Indian will die, or it will be a bad Indian, or you will see Gunga Din, and you will see 3 white men defeat an entire army of Indians single-handedly. They're always getting their thing in, you see. You'll see somebody using Sidney Poitier as a bad African, you see, or as an African who needs white people to support his opinions. But always remember that you are separated. You are a different people, a different species, a different spiritual value, you see, and that we are the evolved people, the first people on this planet who re-evolve now to re-civilize it. And understand that this is your responsibility if you are conscious. If you are conscious, it is your responsibility because the people need your energy. You see, do not become separated. I want to end with a poem called From the Egyptian. And you see a lot of things in it because there are a lot of things happening. And if you're conscious, all these things seem to be happening at once. The sounds, the directions, the images. It's called From the Egyptian because the first lines are from an ancient Egyptian song, a song by black people. I will slaughter the enemies of my father. I will slay those who have blinded him. I will slaughter the enemies of my father. I will slay those who have blinded him. To blind race the slur tearing the eyes, ice cold brutish maggots babble tearing, battering the ice, Carlton-born machine-gunned, Ave Livingston presumed, trapped, sapped, capped by the living nigger, traits for the traitorous nigger doctors whose asses and stomachs cost more than telephones, cripple pipple mind but cripple bobber, Rooney McRout and death cruel murder, rip their uniforms off and stomp feet in their throat, smash them, rip their bellies, bash the heads with stone niggas sailing across the world, Broom Street Squadron parked near West Kenny. When the light changes, they leap at the cars, the throats yelling, though, bird, ease, eyes, tap, squish, under mad trees, crush, crunch, oh God, my eyes, my baby, George, oh God, please, I didn't, the nigger, cop, bop, stamp, he's gonna fuck you, shit, twist, cop, bop, stamp, blues, heel, rope, y'all, the, out, we, out, God, that woman, we were in the Egyptian bar, looked at her, the huge art object of destruction, great thing, 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 dirty fucking shit, great scraping fucking yes, digger, do the motor, freak, scratched, demashed, car, bashed in the house, fat legs upside down and smashed. Bloody Jesus, what do we do? Let's give, oh, raise. I will slaughter the enemies of my father. I will slay those who have blinded him. Thank you.
We're going to have about a half hour for your questions and answers, and more questions we get asked, of course, the more they get to ask the questions. So put your hand up if you got one and sing out loud and clear so everyone can hear it. Yes, sir.
Mr. Jones, when you say that you're going to slaughter and slay the enemies of your father, before that, all your poems, you made it sound like all of us were your enemies. Do you really mean that?
Excuse me?
You made it sound like all of us were your enemies.
Well, us is definitely not the enemy. Oh, I'm sorry. No, us is definitely not the enemies. I don't know. You mean us who you talking about now? Excuse me? Well, I say this. Most of them I met could fit into that category. You see? I say that, either passively or actively.
Yeah, but won't this actually have kind of extreme...
That's the point, yeah. That is the point, the extreme.
Yes, sir.
Jones, when you said something to the effect, I'm trying to quote you the best I remember. When we say black power, we don't mean a Negro sheriff in Alabama. We mean a spiritual reordering of the world. Could you amplify on those remarks?
Epics are usually run by certain ideas, certain value systems. You see, certain value systems energize societies and control of societies. And I meant exactly what I said, that this particular value system is rotten, and is responsible for the killing and maiming of human beings and the stunning of their growth. You see? And we're talking about now the colored peoples of the world, you know, re-emerging to civilize the world, to re-civilize the world. We don't think the world is civilized, you know. We think that beasts are running it, you know.
Yeah.
I have a question I'd like both of the brothers to answer. The question that put to me over the weekend that you might call an interracial panel. I was asked by a Caucasian young lady if black men didn't get some sort of status out of being with white women. And I gave her what I thought was a pretty good answer. I'd like both the brothers to answer.
Did everyone hear that question? It's the kind of status that a black person would get by being around a white woman. Huh?
No.
Sorry. Jim?
A young lady of Caucasian descent asked me if black men didn't get some sort of prestige or status out of being with white women, you know, like if they didn't aspire to this. And I gave her what I thought was a pretty good answer, and I'd like both of the brothers to explain this or answer it. Oh, I told her, well, first of all, it's like this. We grow up watching TV and going to the movies, and all we see are white women. Only black women we see on TV probably is a maid named Missouri, you know. And so, like, white women become a symbol, you understand? And this is all we want initially, just a sex symbol, you understand? This is what they stand for.
Ron?
Yeah, well, oh, that's your. I tend to agree with you, brother, about that, about the communications thing. It's all part of the, wanting America, like you taught to want America, and the white woman is always beamed. They sell cars using white women, they sell soap, they sell, and they also sell commitment to America and to this value system, with white women. It's the same kind of thing, And also behind that, there's also an added weight on you, is that a lot of black women aspire to be white women. You see what I mean? So then you're caught up in that bind, you see, because they're also affected by that image. But there's a reversal going on. Yeah. But I think there's a reversal now, a tendency going on. Right. Yeah, well, see, if this was an educational institution and it was truly like a society of free thinking, you would never have had to, you dig? Because it would never have been necessary, you see. But the minute you assert yourself as a black man, as a separate, entity, well, yeah, that's what they think, see. Because nothing else, for instance, they refer to us as non-whites, you dig? You don't exist except with their reference, you see. We are colored people, black people, brown people, you see. But they refer to you as non-white. That is the reference. You don't exist except with reference to their thing,
Right. I agree with Brother LeRoi. It gives Negroes status, but it doesn't give black people status. And the reason it gives Negroes status is because they're already mentally dead now, and they don't know how to evaluate. The African proverb says, "Water in a coconut shell is a seed to an ant." Why? He's so small and value himself. That's the same thing with Negroes, and I think that black people shouldn't flatter white women by making them think that they're so desirable. What you should do, and that's up to the sister at this point, is to reject every black man that you find with a white woman and have no connection with him, and isolate that Negro. And once you isolate that Negro, he'll stop there. But you have to force, the tragedy about it is that you have to force Negroes to be free. And that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Without question, the fact there's been an awful lot of hate and killing for 2,000 years of recorded history, from which of white man's history. And listening to your poems today, I found these were also filled with hate and decision, perhaps, toward killing. And only through killing, which is curiously wrapped around finding yourself, can the Negro perhaps find himself and become a black man that is a self now equipped into a black humanity with self still there wrapped in death. And for some reason this all evades me, that death and self will bring about one to a qualified end of beauty.
You're saying that to say that you're right.
No, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm asking you a question because I'm questioning beauty as an educational institution. I would like to learn, and somehow beauty wrapped within death and killing evades me.
Well, see, I could see where you would take that point of view, because it's necessary for your own survival mentally. But I'm talking about almost like a surgeon, or a cancer specialist, you see, would refer to cancer, you see, in preserving or making a healthy organism. You see, to me, you are a cancer.
The operation is successful, a patient died.
Excuse me?
This one, what I question, you say that a cancerous thing, but if you deal with death and hate, and this is your means of extracting
Well,
the organ,
it seems
fact,
like hate, but we're
much.
much more objective. I'm much more objective about you than you would think. Much more objective. Yes, it's not. It's not vague. It's specific and directed.
Yeah, well, that's what I understand,
You know.
because it seemed most of this was vague and subjective rather than being objective.
Right. All right. All right. If I could get to you, then perhaps the world would be different. If I could convince you through what you call your reasonable means, perhaps the world would be different. But I cannot. You see, I cannot reach you.
Well,
Because your references.
Death and killing, I would hope you would not reach me.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. You know.
Yeah.
But you see, it's important. It's important. It's important for us to realize that there is no dialogue possible. Even the ones who believe themselves to be liberals, to be rational, only want to maintain their only thing. Even the leftists, the so-called leftists. Wait, just a second. I'm speaking. Even the so-called leftist white people, what they want to do is perpetuate, even through that, the white mastery. You see?
Sir, I only asked you a question. You said about a dialogue being absent, and it couldn't be. Then if the dialogue is absent and couldn't be, then perhaps Mr. Karenga was right in his initial introduction when he said perhaps it should be that you write and simply come over this in your own room. But by the fact that you did not simply do this, but that you brought up the podium and squeaking between before a school where it has 27,000 students predominantly.
Well, do you understand why?
Because you desired dialogue.
No. Understand this. Now understand this, white boy. Understand this here. That this is money. Wait a minute now. This is about money. The same reason that my father goes to work in the post office. You don't have anything to offer anybody at all. Nothing at all. The only thing we were just discussing, the negative quality that existed in terms of the vibrations in that room simply because of your presence. Now, I am aware of that. You see what I mean? So don't get any notion that there's any kind of illusion toward reaching you. This was definitely about resources. You understand? Like I would go in your pocket if I could. You understand? Or steal something from you if I could. That's what it's about. And nothing else, if you can dig that.
Yeah, and another thing is, you're presumptuous enough to think that your position is important. I mean, we're allowing you latitude to even discuss it, and you've taken up 2 or 3 other people's chance. But I would like to tell you this, that you shouldn't feel bad if you don't agree with us, because if you agree with me, I'd probably change my position.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about why it seems like they capture a saddle up with drug values of
Well, do it. Go ahead and do it. That's all I got to say. You know where they are. Go get them. If you mean it, go get it. No, look, under the best possible conditions, all things can exist, you see. The friction and confrontations are caused by disease, by the presence of disease. Now, if you're talking about being committed to that, do it. First get your people together. Preach to them. Preach that nonviolence to them. Preach commitment to the purity of mind and the expansion of consciousness and the evolution of man to a spiritual plane. You preach that to them. You understand? And if you believe that this society needs changing and that you're committed to that, you do that with your people. You see what I mean? And let us do what we're going to do with our people. Then maybe we can come together as men, you understand, and talk about what needs to be done to the world. But right now, we have to get ourselves together, and you have to prove something to yourself maybe, but you do that, and let us do ours.
Yeah. Yeah.
John, you seem rather critical of white man getting involved in avant-garde, mainstream jazz. Why?
No, what I said, it was different. All I have said was that it is different. I said it is different. The black music is black music and white people's music is white people's music. That it is different. I also said, though, that the white man makes money out of black energies. Always, white people copy black music, you see, and make money out of it, where the black man, the innovator, the actual capturer of this energy, does not benefit. And it's the same kind of colonialism that exists with, gold mines or copper mines. It's no different. It's the same thing, the same principle. You see what I mean? So that Albert Ayler can come out and blow something. You see what I mean? And then like a couple of minutes later, Frank Smith will show up on the scene imitating Albert Ayler's solo note for note. You dig? And then Frank Smith will get a lot of money and stuff, you see? Because this is the nature of the society. That's what I said, you see. It's a good point. That's a good point. You know, I believe that. You know, I believe that.
Yeah.
Sir.
Speaking about music, are you a fan of John Coltrane?
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed some riffs and
Yeah. Understand. Well, see, we were talking about the spiritual, you know, re-emergence of the world. Now, can you imagine when you look at the way, you know, these people, Europeans, white people have made, say, the way a city looks, the way the buildings look. You understand? That is not our way. You see, if you can dig John Coltrane, then you can dig what our way is. If you can dig buildings that look like John Coltrane solos, you understand?
I've just trained for a long time and I'm still searching, you know. I still want to know what my way is, you know.
That's all right.
You drive around and say that the way is Afro, and I wonder, you know.
No, the way is to yourself.
If I can survive in Africa any better than, say, the...
No, we're not talking about that. I was talking about finding who you are. See, you will survive and you will find a way. If you can find out who you are, then you will know what direction you are on already. You see what I mean? As an evolving spirit, you see. We're not talking about going back to Africa. Okay, you can if you want to.
Artie?
Within the context of our black people, you recognize the necessity for a black individual?
Individual? Yes, we are like a people of individuals. But we're saying that there must be at least a unity of purpose to free ourselves to be individual. You can't be individual. We believe in the collectivism of spirit. We were all part of one thing. You see, this essence, a spiritual essence, we are part of that thing. We come to it in different ways. We are directed toward it, you see. But the whole individualism kick is Western. The point of being separated from the great majority of human beings is Western, you see. They try to opt out with the existentialism.
Yeah. Excuse me. Are you through? Okay, Ron, do you want to comment?
Yeah, I would agree with my brother as always. We cannot. Well, that's natural. We in tune. Actually, what you have to realize is that individualism is a luxury that black people cannot afford. Even the concept of soul is a collective concept, as opposed to Christian soul. Old Christians say, mama don't go, I got to go on my own. Can't save nobody's soul but yourself. But African soul or Afro-American soul is directly the opposite of that. Is that you cannot be free without helping someone else. The indivisibility of freedom means collectivism. For example, you can take some dead Negro and send him up in Beverly Hills for a month. He loses contact with soul. It is only when he's brought back to his roots can he dance anymore. Can he appreciate any music? Up there, he's acting silly, making unrhythmic movements, and talking Hegel and Marx, who never knew how to do the jerk.
Yeah.
Yes. But even so, when it evolves, it'll probably be a different thing. What you think of as television, what you use now in our hands might evolve to something else.
Well, I'm quite sure.
Yeah.
However, the question in my mind is there a counterpart to this that is in your mind black magic?
Yeah, there always was. In fact, most of in terms of magic, it was black magic. You were interested in the physical, intellectual plane, you see. And magic was never your stick, except as it was taken from the East, from colored people. You know, you don't know anything about magic per se, you see, except through your technology. You see. Well, no. For instance, atomic bomb is white magic. You see, that's white magic. You know.
An invention by a white person is white magic.
Yeah, in a sense, to use in terms of what your body, what your need demands.
What if the Negro is going to get
Yeah. Excuse me?
What if the Negro had invented?
Oh, man.
Well, see, you think, what if? You know, we probably would use atomic energy to, like, you know, construct things to help human beings, not to blow up people. You dig?
Oh,
All right.
You shouldn't laugh because check this out. We was smelting iron and the Chinese was playing with gunpowder making firecrackers. Only when the hunky came did he put it together and make a gun. He's the one that made the gun.
Yeah. Excuse me, from where you are, would you please stand because it's hard to project.
That's right. Right.
I'd like to ask you, what is your conception of proper, the moral role for a white man to play in bringing about these changes?
Right, very good. We say that you have three functions. First is non-intervention. We are another country, another culture. That's the first thing. That means don't try to make decisions for or sit on our decision-making council. The second is foreign aid, and that can be broken down into two types. Financial, which is normal, and the second, which is technical in terms of skills, but you got to be in the background to do it. Don't ever be present, but you shouldn't worry about that because like your Christian morality says, if you work in secret, God will reward you in open. So let him do it. The last thing is that you have to form a United Liberal Club or a civilizing committee. Just like Brother Jones was saying, you teach all that stuff that you've been teaching us for 450 years to them people in Orange County and in UCLA. See, I don't want you to get all the way out there to relieve you of the responsibility right here, because even this is a racist institution. I, being a graduate student here, know what racism is here also. So if you form that civilizing committee morally and go into that community and work with them incorrigible whites that we've been waiting for, then you have done your moral duty. We couldn't ask anything else from you.
Eddie? I couldn't hear you. Eddie, speak up, please.
Well, I'm talking about collective and individual. Individual self, recognition of individual self leading to a recognition of the total self, the collectivism of the black spirit, you see. Usually any attempt at individualism in the Western sense is going to cut you off from even your individual self. That is, that part of the true collective spirit, your actual part of the true collective spirit of black people, that part in the soul force. The poem about the half white college students, again, the dominant tone of these institutions, the colored colleges and these white colleges, is always to make you into a white self, into a recognition of yourself as a white person, to give you values that will make you function as if you were a white person, you see. And I was trying in that poem to just set up, say, a path to this self, to the recognition that you are being had, that you are being programmed in these colleges, just like with the computers, that you are being turned in certain directions and you are expected to function in certain ways. And that the only way to do that is to disengage yourself from the total quality of the white man's tone. White man's domination of the world is caused by his being able to infect people with his tone, with his style, you see, with his anti-spiritual qualities. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people do. Yeah.
It seems like there is a lot of disarray in this meeting, that there is a lot of seemingly what a lot of people are interpreting as hatred between the races. And myself, I feel that we are all individuals, but above all, we are all a collective group of human beings. And I feel that the meeting has gone in a way to give me the idea
that since the Caucasian race has not taken it upon themselves to get back into this realm of spiritual being of one man instead of the collective individuality of race, that it is the job of someone else to do it. And evidently, gathering from the systems now of all the killing and hatred that we have in the world today, the white man cannot do this. It is up to someone else to do it. When the President of the United States can't do the job, they get somebody else to do it. It's the same way now. We have been separated, and we have our different ideologies. And the ideology is that the separation. Who is going to do it? Evidently, the white man can't do it, so the Negro must do it.
Excuse me, do you have a question?
That's no question. That's what I feel.
No, brother.
Tom, do you have a question? All right.
This is if you want to put it in a question, I'd like to know if us thinks this is the policy that the Negro, not the Negro, the black man.
Right.
The black man, because the Negro does not exist. The Negro is
Right. Okay, brother. We agree.
it's something else. Now, I
Right.
wanna know
Let him ask that question.
if us feels that it's the job of the black man to save the world and let us have peace.
Right. We'll save ourselves. We'll make peace. We better go on to another question.
All
I
right.
agree with you. We
Tom?
should do that.
I'd like to know if you think Ho Chi Minh has soul.
Everybody he kill, he gets more. Right.
Most-
You want to tell us?
He's one of the most soulful men in
Right.
Finger popping all up and down.
That's right. Every white head he takes, he gets more.
Yes, sir. Yes.
My question is about the values that you brought up, both in your poetry and in your commentaries. White values, I'm sure most of us here will agree, are somewhat distorted at best. Now, are you calling for a negation of this concept of black being equated to evil and white being equated to good? Are you calling of a negation of this fight going on between the Indians and Lone Ranger? Or are you asking for a reversal of roles?
A reversal of roles? No, that's not possible. If you understand evolution, even as preached by your Darwin, which is very limited understanding of evolution.
Mr. Jones,
No, we're not. That's what we're always faced with, that you're going to tell us the minute we want to free ourselves of you and erase this disease that we're going to become like you. So when we get rid of the cancer, we will become cancer. But that's not true, you know. We are speaking about the evolution. You're speaking about evolution. Well, actually, it's not your place even to ask.
Now, if under the present structure, white is supposed to be good and black is supposed to be bad.
Yeah, well, don't try to project that on me, because this is a, you know, we'll let this be neutral.
50% of this comparison, at least,
Excuse me?
in the analogy, in the comparison, I'm 50%. But if I'm white and I'm supposed to be good, which I don't.
Well, no, I don't believe that. No, then what are we talking about? What is it that you want to know?
What I'm asking is, are you expecting a reversal? That is, that black will be associated with good?
We are talking about the evolution of man into a higher form of life, and this is impossible. This is impossible. The way the white man has constructed the world. The white man is the one obstruction, is one of the major obstructions to man's progress. The years of your power have been years of what you used to call the dark ages, when Islam was in power. These have been our white ages, and all learning has suffered. Man's progress has suffered. And we're asking to eliminate these obstructions so that mankind, the majority of mankind, may make spiritual progress.
excuse me.
It will be that way. It will be that way because I think the white man understands that you are the one who will disappear. Even if we just turn loose a lot of brothers in your neighborhoods, there would be mulattoes. You know, you can't possibly survive even in genetic time. You see, so this evolution takes for granted.
Then you anticipate an amalgamation of the races.
No, man. No.
Ms. Karenga has just informed me that, unfortunately for us, Mr. Jones has a very large press conference, and those of you who have questions, I imagine that another source, another way to get them answered, would be to go to the US Center tonight and ask them or try to bring them up. Unfortunately,
No, you don't have to fear for your safety. And since it's a fundraiser, we take money without regard to race, creed, or color.
thank you.
8211 South Broadway, 8 o'clock.